what's up, everybody? Happy holidays. We are seven days away from Christmas. I am back once again. It is Friday night. This is the Don Tony Show. I am Don Tony, as always, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. Much love, much love, much love. Got some fun discussion to get into today. Looking at my list, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. SmackDown, I think they did a much better job leading into TLC. Even though if you think about it, you would think there's pretty much only two matches that are going to be a TLC as far as SmackDown goes. But I thought they did a pretty good job tonight. Now, obviously being on FS1 and not Fox is going to drive the ratings down a little bit. I don't have the rating the last time they were on FS1, but I believe it was under 900,000 viewers. Not a big deal. But what is a big deal, did you see all the goofs looking for the tweet hand jobs? Did you see them all sensationalizing about the fact that Monday Night Raw had the lowest rating in its history? Lowest rating in its history. Now, that's not a mistake. That is legit. Hour one, Monday night, 1.63 million viewers. Hour two, 1.51 million viewers. Hour three, 1.44 million viewers. What was different about this Monday amongst previous Mondays is they started with a tremendously low number, and it just went down and down and down. And as we've been pointing out, Wednesday Night Wrestling is now the number 2 night to watch wrestling. Everybody focuses on AEW versus NXT, which obviously we do, but we look at it in a different way because we see who is trending, who fans are changing the channel on, who are channel surfing. And we had some channel surfing going on Wednesday night. In fact, I want to thank you all for the tremendous feedback on Wednesday night's show. The first hour was pretty much me venting. Now, I always criticize things that I don't like in wrestling, and I praise the things that I like, and I give opinions, recommendations. Sometimes we crack some jokes, try not to be too harsh on the jokes anymore. But Wednesday turned into a rant, and the entire rant, if you go back and you watch it, I look straight at you. Wasn't looking at notes, was not planned, but just things started really ticking me off. And a lot of it had to do with AEW. Now, I'm still a huge supporter of AEW, and they are going to have growing pains. Even if you have 91-year-old Sting, even if you have, it doesn't matter. Tony Khan is the boss. Yes, he has a lot of influencers behind the scenes, but even they will have growing pains. A lot of those wrestlers were never in the position that they are now as far as management goes. Look at Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, I'm going to cover it Wednesday, but Kenny Omega did a couple of comments the last day, and he was saying that fans need to stop, I guess like looking at the past, or they need to adapt to today's. To me, that is directed towards the 50 and over crowd, because the 50 and over crowd seem to be the ones that are venting the most about AEW and a lot of the stuff. And what's weird about it is a lot of that 50 and over crowd aren't even AEW fans, but they make the loudest noise. And as I say many times, misery loves company. So we're going to address Kenny Omega on Wednesday. But the fact of the matter is, you're trying to build up stars. Ricky Starks should be the diamond in the rough coming from the NWA other than Thunder Rosa. Brian Cage is a monster. I mean, just those two guys alone. Hobbs, he looks like he's got to take a dump all the time. And what do? Like I said Wednesday, and I'm sorry for bringing this up again for those that don't tune in Wednesday, if Sting had a Fitbit And he was in the gorilla position, right about to come out, and he looked at his Fitbit, and it says, up to now, you've burned 1,210 calories. By the time he was done with that segment, he went in the back and looked at his Fitbit. It said, you have burned 1,215 calories. This guy, all he did was come out, point the plastic bat, and Taz, Brian Cage, afraid. They went to the ring and beat down Cody 4-on-1, 5-on-1, but a 61-year-old man that all he does is point the bat and they run off. Man, I mean, I know nostalgia is great, and I love a little nostalgia, but not at the expense of things like that. Now, I know the casual wrestling fan that probably didn't compute like it did to me and some of you out there, but, you know, if it's computing for us, sooner or later it's computing for other fans out there. And, I love all of the podcasters that tune into these shows and will not let me know that they tune into the shows. And then they either do their podcasts or they tweet or they blog, and they use a lot of my phrases. One podcaster, we will keep anonymous, talked about the Fitbit thing. One other podcaster talked about something that I said about Kenny Omega and Impact. I love it. But AEW got a wake-up call Wednesday. Their ratings went down almost 200,000 viewers. I mean, Sting is only there 2 weeks. And 200,000 viewership drop. NXT beat AEW in the second hour of the ratings. And if you look at NXT, other than maybe one match, yes, Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm was fun, but they're not usually a ratings grab. So we'll talk about those ratings in a little bit. You know, we got a few things to get into today. By the way, I don't want to give out spoilers because the event is going on as we speak. But I will tell you, even though Bandito, EC3, Kenny King, and Flamita were off of Ring of Honor's Final Battle pay-per-view, it is still a rock-solid card. And right now, you can catch it on Fight and a few other areas. You got, and let me just read you the match. I'm not doing predictions or anything. It would be unfair because a lot of the matches already took place tonight. And I will pick the right winners, obviously. By the way, this opening thing with Sami Zayn, doing the Slammy Awards. I mean, why would Sami Zayn read Big E's name anyway? Trust me, if I'm reading off of my paper the podcast year-end awards, and my fiance wants to be a wise ass with me and crosses off podcaster of the year, crosses my name off and puts someone else's name on there, which we will not mention, if I look at the paper, I'm still saying my name. It was a little corny. But, you know, it was what it was. By the way, the Slammy Awards are this Wednesday. Now, I will get into the categories again today, and I'll poll the live friends out there that are tuning in, and maybe some of these names that come to mind, maybe you want to choose your winner now. But Monday, Mish and I, during our Breakfast Soup Raw, are going to give our predictions for the Slammy Awards. Now, the problem with the Slammy Awards is, you know, you can't pick based on who you feel should win. You got to pick it based on who WWE in storyline wants to portray to win. So, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. By the way, shout out to Steve Joseph. Because we're talking about Sami Zayn and the Slammies and Ring of Honor, you know, I guess it's only apropos that I bring this up. 14 million Americans are going to get evicted. Can I mention something quickly? I swear, and we'll get right back to wrestling. I just had a conversation with a customer today that our mayor and our governor, and this has happened all across the globe, that they have screwed a lot of people's lives up, not just with the restaurants and the bars like you hear from your neck of the woods about what's going on in New York and California and everything, but what's also happening is here in New York, they told landlords whether it's regular residential houses, tenants, apartments, or businesses, they told landlords 6, 7, 8 months ago, you cannot evict your tenants. You cannot evict your tenants. Now, although that is a kind gesture to do, especially for those who are impoverished, obviously, the thing is that you now create an environment where people don't feel desperation. Oh, I don't have to worry about my rent for 6, 7, 8 months. Oh, the government will get a federal grant and they will pay my landlord the $10,000 that I haven't paid them all year long. And what's happening now is the government, the federal government, is saying to some of these states, no, you were careless. I know it sounds cold, but you were careless to tell landlords you cannot evict your tenants. So you had people out there who were able to work that didn't. There were people out there that did work that didn't put it towards rent, figuring that in the end, the government is going to pay my landlord and I won't have to pay all that rent. So you have no idea what's in store for 2021. I seriously feel bad for all those millions of people out there who are facing eviction. And there's nothing that can be done about it in the end. But I also feel bad for all of those homeowners and all of those business owners that have tenants that are now $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 owed in rent that they're not getting. And you know what the worst part about it is? And we'll get right back to wrestling right now. Here's the worst part about it. If New York State would have said to those business owners and to those homeowners that are losing out on rent right now, you can deduct it from your taxes as an expense, a loss. That is one thing. But they have not reduced anybody's property taxes at all. Here's a true fact. My brother owns a 2-family house. He has a tenant because the mortgage and the tax and the insurance is so expensive in New York, he needs a tenant to take care of some of the expenses. So the tenant's rent pays for a little bit of the taxes, a little of the insurance, and this and that. So now a lot of homeowners, that's why they have tenants. They have tenants because it helps ease the burden of all the expenses. So it's not just tenants facing eviction, it's all of those homeowners and business owners that owe tens of thousands of dollars in back property taxes now that the state is not giving any benefits of. That's why, you know, it's funny, Superstorm Sandy, it's no secret, you know, it's what, 8 years already. Superstorm Sandy leveled my parents' home, leveled a lot of places. And I told the stories back then of one of my customers knocking out a FEMA person that flew in from Texas. And the one thing that I heard over and over and over again at that time was that it was you got more assistance when you had nothing. It paid to have nothing. Because if you had nothing, you got this grant, you got this grant, you got this grant. But if you own property, even though your property was leveled, you got almost nothing. So yeah, 2021 is going to be a mess. And thank God for a lot of you out there. I give you all the credit in the world that you sensed this back in February, March, and April and took measures to make sure you don't get buried in debt. I know a lot of you out there that I see on the social media, I see some of the comments posted. Oh no, I thought Austin said something about a particular wrestler who thinks that WWE is scared of him. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But, you know, a lot of you out there took alternate jobs, did work that you know, felt was beneath you, you know, worked a second job, did whatever you had to do to make ends meet because you sensed the desperation, you sensed what was going on, and instead of just sitting back and hoping that other people were going to bail you out, you took the initiative and took a tremendous risk to work during this. So I praise all of you out there, and for some of you out there that tried your hardest to find alternate work and couldn't, my thoughts are with you as well. You know, there's one thing, you know, that's why I try to stay off social media as much as possible. You know, people tweet a life that is just non-existent. And, you know, you get this, you know, sense that they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing that. And in all actuality, they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing. And that's why I said back in March, do I want to tweet or do I want to eat? So, want to shout out Ken, terminated by DQ. Oh, you're very welcome. Was that the Rob Van Dam question? You know, somebody, when I did my rant about the dives, Mish and I, Monday, we're talking about the dives and Jim Ross's comments. Somebody actually commented back and said, you know, that, oh no, this is just storyline and entertainment and people diving in this and that. And the person thought when we did our rant, the person's like, you do realize this is entertainment. I said, okay, suspension of disbelief. If I don't, because what the person was trying to say, is, whether it's Io Shirai with the garbage pail, the top of the cage, or if it's somebody on AEW Dynamite, you have to catch them because of safety. If you don't catch them, they could get seriously injured. So my answer back was, in storyline, if I'm wrestling somebody and they are my opponent and they climb the top rope or the top of the cage and they put a garbage pail over their head, they put a girdle over their head, they dive off, just storyline purposes, I move out of the way. You let them go splat. That's how you stop the dives. In storyline, you want to stop the dives? When they dive, you part the waters. When they go splat, then they won't climb the rope anymore. In storyline, unfortunately, you know, that's not going to happen. We're going to keep seeing it, although Wednesday was a little bit of an improvement, without a doubt. Liam Savage, thank you to me for doing research and being always right. Yeah, I had to wear the shirt today. Did you see the Otis interview? Yeah, let's open up with the Otis. I'm only going to mention like 3 comments. Otis did an interview with Ryan Satin. You know, the guy that everybody seems to hate, but he gets all the interviews. And I'm not banned from him. I actually get along with him quite fine. I understand why people don't like Ryan Satin. I'm not disagreeing with some of you out there. I could see some of the things that he writes. He did an interview with Otis. And it was a great interview because you got to see a little bit more personality of Otis. By the way, when I talked about Otis last week with Keith Lee in the Performance Center and everything, didn't I say to everyone out there, don't worry about Otis. Don't worry about it. You see, today, a little bit starting to build. I had no idea how deep the friendship was between Chad Gable and Otis. And they have a long-term friendship. I almost said relationship. Oh, relationship. It's a good friendship. It's a really, really cool interview. But the one thing that really caught my eye was the Performance Center story. Just like the ratings story that came out the last day or two, let me explain something. Raw's ratings have sucked for the last couple of years. All right? When they broke the rating for the lowest Raw in the history, they didn't break it by that much. They broke it when Seth Rollins was feuding with Corbin and the man was with the other man. That's when some of the ratings were even, you know, at the lowest as well. Just common sense. No TV network wants to see ratings that low. So when you saw all of these rejects today saying, our sources tell us that USA Network is furious and angry, they're fed up, they want to change in direction, they want this, they want that, they want adult, they want that. First of all, WWE has to answer to stockholders, investors, and all of these groups out there. They're not going adult. They're not going to go sexual. They're not going to go deep, dark stuff. You know, the closest you're going to get to it is when Alexa Bliss killed the frog. That's what you're going to get. So these people, oh, they want this, they want that. You know why these rejects are saying this? Because they saw Temptation Island. They saw Monday Night Raw really watered down. And then right after that, Temptation Island. People pumping. Unfortunately, Temptation Island doesn't have stockholders, not $1 billion company behind it. So they don't have to answer to anybody. That's what they say. So when you have the lowest rating in history, listen, AEW tanks a little bit further in the ratings. You're going to see all these goofs. TNT is very concerned about AEW's sudden ratings drop. Somebody brain dead on their deathbed like this could figure that out. So what you read today was not breaking news. These people don't all of a sudden have sources in the USA Network. And even if they had friends that worked for WWE, what do you think somebody say? Oh, I'm close friends with Tucker, and Tucker overheard a speakerphone conversation with Vince and the USA Network, and he had his ear against the door. Well, you think USA Network just addresses the... Give me a break, man. The ratings suck. But even this Performance Center thing. You saw all the noise last week. I came up here, and a few others as well, said almost the entire roster goes to the Performance Center. This is the time to work on your shit. You don't have house shows. You're not working all these crazy ass events. You're not touring. You're not traveling across the globe. This is the time you work on everything. So Keith Lee going, Otis going, the Bullfrog goes. It doesn't matter. It helps everybody. So Otis does the interview, and they brought up the Performance Center situation. And this is Otis's comments, and I quote, "It wasn't like, hey, we were told this and that. The Performance Center is a tool for us to get better. If another big guy wants to come up to me and wants to work and stuff, or vice versa, we're always working." So that report was kind of funny because we're never not working, especially now that we don't have live events, so we really can't get our stuff out. It's just bottled inside a little bottle. Right now, it's like we're not getting our stuff, so we're finding more and more ways to get in the ring with each other, which nothing beats a crowd, and that's one thing I miss. But now it is the time. It's exact words what I said last week. Now is the time to get better. That's what he said. There was no controversy to it. But these people, they have nothing. So they got to sensationalize things that just don't have any reason to be talked about. The rating sucks. We all know that. But this idea that the USA Network, were they furious with Seth Rollins and the Man and King Corbin and Lacey Evans? Were they furious? So, listen, everybody. The rating sucks. USA Network should be disappointed at these numbers right now. But, you know, this idea that all of these executives in the USA Network, that's why, like I say, any of these articles that end that have words that end in the letters LY, unless it's the word oily or Beverly, you know, those are okay. But if they use reportedly, probably, likely, possibly, then you know they're just looking for this. They're looking for that. The ratings suck, but you know, they obviously have to do better. And guess what? You know, any one person is not going to fix those ratings. You know, people are bringing up AJ Styles and saying, you know, about AJ Styles being on Raw now and look at the numbers and this and that. You know, my answer to that is AJ Styles was in TNA during the time that it went downhill with the ratings. It's not AJ Styles' fault. It's not any one person's fault. It is a culmination of things. That's why even though AEW is still a new kid on the block, you know, that new car scent is starting to wear off a little bit, and they have to not duplicate the mistakes that TNA has done, WWE has done. You know, WWE is $1 billion machine behind it, and they have all these reserves that they could tap into. TNA doesn't. Impact Wrestling doesn't. AEW, you might say, oh, I could go to Shad. Did you see that report that was floating around? AEW executives told Tony Khan, do not spend any more money within $100 million. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Does anybody think that they went through $100 million or that's the budget? Oh, man. It's just gave me a headache today with that stuff. But so that was Otis's interview. I strongly suggest you check it out. It is video. It's not just transcribed. So Otis really comes off well. And, you know, I've been saying for a while now, do not lose faith in Otis. You know, WWE, you remember when I said that he hit rock bottom and now, you know, he lost his girl, he lost his tag team partner, he was on a massive losing streak. This is the storyline to rebuild Otis. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I say it again tonight. Do not lose faith. If anybody that was Otis fans, he's not being buried. It's just, Otis is one of those characters, just like Orange Cassidy and a few others, that they really feed off of that crowd. And there are some wrestlers that really get an energy from the crowd, babyface and heel. Otis is one of them. Few people are as well. And it's very, very difficult to keep that same energy when you got LED screens out there instead of live people. So do not worry about Otis. You know, Keith Lee, it's a little different because Keith Lee is still very new on the roster. But I compare Keith Lee to Shayna Baszler. You remember those reports. Vince McMahon is giving up on Shayna Baszler. I remember Mish and I having this real deep conversation about Shayna Baszler. Don't worry about it. She's got to adapt to the main roster. Keith Lee has to adapt to the main roster. Keith Lee cannot wrestle looking for a fight forever chance. That's not going to happen on the main roster. We forget how awesome his feud was with Dominik Dijakovic. I almost said Dominik Dijakovic. Come on, man. That shit in NXT was fire. You know, but on the main roster, that's not the formula. Because he's not fighting Dijakovics on the opposite side. He's fighting people that have different styles than that. And not only that, WWE cuts down the length of the matches other than special events and pay-per-views and main events because they want to prolong people's careers. You know? So do not worry. Do not worry. The creative is obviously a little bit of a problem. But do not worry. I mean, you know, WWE Creative is working on the Roman Reigns character as we go along, and everything seems fine. Somebody said before I went live that WWE made Kevin Owens look really, really bad today because of the ending of SmackDown. I wholeheartedly disagree. Kevin Owens is a maniac with hardcore stuff. Kevin Owens, you got to see some of his stuff before he came to WWE. Kevin Owens is a beast. I know I've said that about Pete Dunne lately, but Kevin Owens is a beast as well. And the idea that after he takes this ass kicking, that he sits up and he's going to die trying and this and that, this guy has balls of steel, you know, and a pain tolerance. And so I think they did just fine with Kevin Owens tonight. Now, look, let's be honest. When we do pay-per-view predictions later for TLC, is anybody out there, seriously, is anybody out there at all? And speak up. Nobody's going to laugh at you. There is no wrong answer. But for those live right now, does anybody out there believe that Kevin Owens is beating Roman Reigns at TLC? To me, there's not even a remote chance of that happening. So if you know the outcome already, you know, they have to make the story. It's the same thing with Jey Uso. You know, same formula, you know, same outcome, different formula, if you want to put it that way. It's like apples and oranges. They're both fruits, but they're not the same. Yeah, not one person out there. Not one person out there. AD Right Wing says that Miz could cash in on Roman. Oh, that's not happening, man. That's not happening. You know, even though the Raw rating is the lowest in history, you know, like I said, you can't blame it on any one person. They're going to tease that briefcase for a while. Even if Miz tries to cash in, it's not going to come to a positive outcome. I see Miz cashing in on Drew McIntyre more than I see Roman Reigns. And I don't see Drew McIntyre losing that belt either. So, so the point is, look, a wrestling match is not as fun when you know the outcome. You already know who's going to win and who's going to lose. So the only way you make it fun is to really put a lot of, like fluff around it. Now, I don't want to call tables, ladders, and chairs fluff, but you want to put a lot of, gimmicks around it. That's why if you look at Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, there was stipulations to it. You had Hell in the Cell. You had, the ultimate stipulation. I'm gonna be a tribal chief. There was always other things attached to it because on a straight one-on-one match, you already know pretty much the outcome. Yeah. So this is gonna be a war on Sunday, but the outcome doesn't change. It's not gonna be a DQ finish. There's going to be a clusterfuck, obviously. So Kevin Owens, we already know his fate, but the storyline and Kevin Owens' talent and the pain, level that he could take and the abuse and being awesome in the ring and Roman Reigns telling a great story as well. It's a recipe. I've always said over the years, some of the greatest storylines involved two people that you didn't know what the outcome was going to be. Seriously. You really did. You were unsure of who was going to win for the most part. And you look at some of the feuds over the years, some of the greatest matches, not every single one, but a majority of them, when you can't predict the outcome and it's really clouded, those end up being some of the best matches because your suspension of disbelief is so broadened that, every move, every kick out, every this, you're at the edge of your seat. So there's not too many matches over the years where you know the outcome, but the match is still kick ass because of it. So, but I thought Kevin Owens did just fine today. Carmella, I couldn't resist, everyone. Carmella opened up well, actually, you know what? I got to say this. Roman Reigns' comment of the night. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just doing the things you have to do to be the guy. Well said. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be a guy. You want to be the guy. So he's not a bad guy. He's just doing the things he's got to do to be the guy. Makes sense. Sometimes things, simple little quotes, make the most sense. And that sums up his character. In his eyes, he's not a bad guy. But there's things that he must do in order to be the guy. So, Carmella, she opened up her little champagne toast to Sasha Banks. 'Tis the season to drink bubbly. Did you see that? I added a couple of lines to it. 'Tis the season to drink bubbly, fa la 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 la, while the goofs go fubbly wubbly, fa la 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 la. Don is here and they get triggered, fa la 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 la. We all miss Tranisha Biggers, fa la 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 la. Did you all see that WWE ripped me off? No joke, man. WWE Shop.
Was there a dying cat in here? Holy shit.
My significant other thought there was a dying cat in here just now. Wrong household, honey. Wrong household. Did you see that WWE ripped me off? I'm going to share it with you. I didn't want to post the video, but I had no choice after 2 weeks of getting this from them. Black Friday. I was away. So Black Friday, they had a lot of deals. And I like the Bray Wyatt stuff. Not only that, I like giving away the Bray Wyatt stuff because a lot of people always ask for Bray Wyatt stuff. So they had the lanterns, the Bray Wyatt head lanterns, like 60% off, and they had the Christmas ornaments, like 60% off. One lantern and one ornament set still added up to $100. But I was like, you know what? That's a good deal because the lantern alone is like $120 shipped. So I ordered 2 lanterns and 2 ornament kits. I figured I'm going to put one in the background and the other one I was going to give away from holidays. So I get the box from WWE and I look at the box and say, this box is awfully small before I even opened it. I open it up, sure enough, there's only 1 lantern in there and 1 ornament set. So I contact WWE and I said, look, are you shipping me the other set separately? And they said, no, they were in the same box. I said, no, they weren't. So I said, do you want me to send you pictures? So I sent them pictures and I sent them video and I even showed them. I said, look at the width of the box. You couldn't have fit 2 of each in here. So this was 2 weeks ago. I sent it to them. They got to get back to me. Nothing. Couple of days later, nothing. Couple of days later, so now I packed everything up and I was like, fuck you, I'm going to send it back. So for all of you out there that may be thinking about, now it may not change your decision about WWE Shop, but for all of you out there, if you want to order from WWE Shop, I would warn you about ordering multiple quantities of the same item because you may end up having happen what happened to me. And honestly, we're not talking $10, $20. If that was the case, I'd probably just eat it up, and let it go. But this is over $100 that they ripped me off. Here's a little video. It's only about a minute long. 'Twas 2 weeks before Christmas and all through the house. WWE screwed me. Here's the deal, everyone. I figured I'd show it to you in case maybe you're having problems with WWE as well. Black Friday, I ordered 2 Bray Wyatt lanterns and 2 Firefly Funhouse Christmas ornament sets for gifts. I got this box, and as you can see, there's only 1 of each in there. I contacted WWE right away. I sent them photos. I sent them videos to show them that the box was too small and there's no way you could fit 2 in each. And I never heard back, despite 3 emails over the last 2 weeks. And what's worse about it is if you look at the width of the Bray Wyatt box, it's 11.5 inches long. You look at the remaining distance on the box, it's only about, 6.5 inches long, 7.5 inches long? So there's no way it would have been able to fit 2 lanterns in this box and 2 Christmas ornaments. So WWE, thank you for never responding to 3 follow-up emails. And now with a week before Christmas, I cannot take the chance that you're going to make this right. So this is going back to you today. And to everyone else out there, if you have had similar problems with WWE this year, please let me know. And maybe this will deter others from buying through Shop, or at least buying multiple quantities of items through Shop. WWE, you did me wrong, and that sucks. That certainly sucks, man. And how much business have we brought their way over the years? My God. So I figured I'd share it. I know some of you out there are like, yeah. Oh man. By the way, how's everybody doing? Yeah, I know in the Northeast, a lot of people were getting hit with the snow. Man, on Wednesday, I put the microphone by the window. You heard all those ice and everything. We were supposed to get 2 feet of snow. We got 6 inches. The only problem was that there was some ice involved, so the snow was a lot heavier than just normal snow. But I woke up the next day and I'm like, oh my God, what happened to all the snow? It wasn't as bad, thank God. By the way, it's not 100% yet, but 2 things are brewing right now on this channel. I definitely need your feedback. Post it in the comment section. You want to post it on Twitter, let me know. A lot of you ask me, DT, what are you doing Christmas Eve? What are you doing New Year's Eve? Ends on a Thursday. Both land on a Thursday. Well, Christmas Eve next week, I'm spending Christmas Eve day and the weekend with my family. Because I don't know how many Christmases I have left with my family, so I'm going to spend the time with them. But I had to talk with my fiance, and we are going to spend New Year's Eve home. So if we're going to spend New Year's Eve home, especially that Times Square is going to be empty, and I'm sorry, I'm not interested in seeing Justin Bieber in a YouTube simulcast. A lot of you said, what about doing a live stream New Year's Eve, from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., we'll all count down to midnight together, and at the same time, we could all say, fuck you, 2020. So what do you all think about the idea that I live stream New Year's Eve, maybe starting at like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., and we go a bunch of hours? Just chat, live chat, just regular down-to-earth discussion, whatever you guys want to talk about. Everything is on the table. It doesn't matter what. You let me know, and if we get enough interest, I will be here New Year's Eve from 9 or 10 p.m. until after midnight. We'll toast champagne. I will bring a bottle of champagne in here. We will have a toast. Maybe I'll get her even to make a little cameo just to wave everybody. Now, another thing is, been talking to Mish about this. Don't know if he's going to be doing it with me on Thursdays, but if New Year's Eve goes really well, especially we don't have a show here where it's just regular conversation. Just whatever you want to talk about, just regular real life stuff, wrestling, whatever. We don't have a show on this channel. I do Q&A, but a live chat is something that's not here. So if New Year's Eve, if we end up doing this, even if we don't do it New Year's Eve, but if there's enough interest, then I'm thinking Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, every Thursday night, we do a live show here, just a live chat interaction all night long, however long we go. So that would be every Thursday. So you let me know. Give me ideas. I'm not kidding when I say I listen to everybody's ideas out there. A lot of people have been saying, you got to do a show. Just talking about whatever. Obviously, you're here tonight to hear SmackDown, TLC, the quarter-hour ratings, AEW. So obviously, there's discussions you're looking forward to. But on Thursday night, just chewing the fat, whatever we want to talk about. Seriously. So let me know. Let me know what you think. So anyway, what? Who's bringing up 10, 10, 10? Oh, that could only be one person. It's 10, 10, 10. Yeah. We could start, you know what? We could start at 10, 10. 10 p.m. in 10 seconds. You know what? I'm not kidding, man. Maybe we'll do that. Seriously. If I don't do this at 9 p.m. and I plan on doing it at 10 p.m., then I will set the show at 10, 10, 10. See, I'm not kidding. That's a great idea. I love it. I love it. So we'll see. We'll see. I have a Trump Christmas sweater, ugly sweater in there. I bought it last year to trigger her family because they all hate Trump. And I was going to wear it over there. And I never wore it. And I was going to wear it tonight, but I didn't want to piss anybody off. But, yeah, I bought it last year. So anyway, so everyone, what do you want me to talk about now? We got a couple of choices. We could talk about, we could talk about SmackDown. We could do TLC predictions, or we could talk about the quarter-hour ratings. I got a couple other things to get into also, but we'll do those a little bit later on. So let me know what you want to talk about. I also got to talk about the guy that says that WWE's afraid of him. Oh, man, that was so freaking funny. You know what? I'll bring him up now. Let's get this Matarazzi out of the way. I'm not going to lie, man, and I know some of you know who this is. So if you know who I'm talking about, don't post it in the chat. Let's see who the others think it is. Somebody did an interview a couple of days ago and has a little bit of an obsession talking about WWE all the time. Not every week. And in the interview, he said that WWE is afraid of him. Now, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to say if I'm right or I'm wrong, but when I heard this and started reading it, I immediately thought Ryback. I thought it was Ryback because Ryback, it seems like every week he's got to rip WWE in some way. And I'm a big fan of Ryback now. I love his podcast. I love his eating challenges and everything. I'm a fan of Ryback. I'm not shitting on him. But he's been so outspoken about WWE. I always think it's him when he says this stuff. So I'm going to read this to you now. It's very quick. But as I read this, try to guess who this is. And I will tell you that as I read it, I think some people will figure it out because this guy, over the years, I've said he's a little bit of a whack job. Very talented, extremely talented, but really, really nutty. So here we go. He says that WWE is scared of him. Why? Because they did not make him. Quote, I'm groomed the old-fashioned way. I gained my experience. I'm a journeyman. And on top of that, I perform at a higher level than those guys even think. So why am I going to sit here and walk in? I'm going to pay attention to the behaviors of the people who are supposed to be in charge. I pay attention to their behaviors. I pay attention. I'm supposed to sit there and do the same thing that they do to others. Notice, I don't point anyone out and condemn them, i.e., I'm too much of a pussy to single people out by name. Or even 10 years later, I don't single anyone out and say that they did this and they did that. I have plenty of those stories. But I haven't done that. Why? Because I don't need to. Now think about this for a minute, everyone. He just ripped WWE and said they're scared of him and this and that and all this stuff. And then at the very end, he says, I don't call people out names because I don't need to. He says, and I quote, everyone who has left the company, how many of them speak positively? So I keep saying the same thing. I'm 10 years removed. There's a hint. He hasn't been there for a while. You still have the same people in charge. So why do you think the same behaviors are occurring? So why do you think the same arguments are being made? Am I outspoken? I'm not outspoken. I'm honest. They don't like that, especially when I'm going to destabilize. He's going to destabilize. Who is he? Retribution? Maybe he should be Retribution. Caval. Yes, it's low-key. I can't help it. Guy's a whack job, man. Man, he's so talented, but he's just a weirdness level. I remember when Frank Goodman used to... You know, I've always told this story over the years, but I got to share it now for newer people out there. Why I dislike Low-key so much. All right, this is a true story. A lot of you talk to Mass Maniac, Frank Goodman. He's still alive. He could back up what I'm saying 1,000%. The last ever pro wrestling event that was taking place at the Elks Lodge in New York, the Madhouse of Extreme, where ECW used to have their shows, back in the early to mid-2000s, that Elks Lodge closed its doors to wrestling. It has reopened to wrestling since then, but it was closed for many, many years. And the last show that was ever there, USA Pro Wrestling did a show, and it was called End of an Era. Now, I had the ability at the time, Frank Goodman, Mass Maniac, offered me to go partners with him on that event. We would invest equally on the show, and then whatever profits are made, you know, we would split it. Not 50-50, obviously it gets more, but I would make some money off of it. So when we were figuring out what we were going to have there, he wanted to reunite the Dungeon of Doom, Carmella, Kevin Sullivan, and a few other people. I wanted to reunite the Triple Threat because the Triple Threat had such a big history. This was the Madhouse of Extreme, the Elks Lodge. At that time, Chris Candido, God rest his soul, and Tammy Sitch were a little bit shaky. This was 2002. They were still a little bit shaky because of, you know, some issues. So Mass Maniac said to me, he's like, okay, you want the Triple Threat to reform? I will do it in only one scenario. You have to pay for Candido and Sonny. And if they show up and everything is good, I will give you your money back. So I paid the money to bring them in. And that's the infamous story where Bam Bam Bigelow mooned the crowd and they pelted them with garbage and I was guarding all of their suitcases and bags and everything. So anyway, that same card, Low-key took on, I think it was Sonjay Dutt, and they put on arguably match of the year. Magazines covered this match. Websites covered this match. Even if they never liked USA Pro Wrestling, they all made a big stink when this match went down. And I'll never forget. Now think about this. This is 18 years ago. Low-key was interviewed. I don't know if it was for a podcast. They weren't called podcasts at that time, but he was being interviewed. I don't know if it was for a show or a magazine, but they asked him about the match he had with Sonjay Dutt at USA Pro Wrestling's End of an Era. And his answer back, and I'm pretty sure it was a magazine, his answer back was he loved the match, very proud of the match. He just wishes it happened in a different company. Just think about that for a minute. This guy pays this guy to wrestle, puts on a 5-star performance against Sonjay Dutt, Crowd is going nuts. If you have the capability to watch this match, watch it. 18 years later, it hasn't lost its luster. And somebody interviews him and brings up that match, and he has the balls to say, I wish it would have happened in a different company. Ever since then, I realized this guy is a real... Look, he could twist me into fucking one of those crazy straws. Seriously. All he's got to do is blow air next to me, and I'll be like this. I know Loki could kick my ass. But in my opinion, what a conceited fucking asshole. And 18 years later, it hasn't changed, because look at this guy now. WWE fears you. No, they fear Armando Montalvo, piss milk shit guy that keeps showing up at the Performance Center and got shot a couple of years ago. That's who they fear. They do not fear you. He's so talented. Man, I'm so glad that, looking back, I'm so glad that WWE made him do goofy things with the, the Tough Enough stuff. Seriously, they gave him some humble pie, man. This guy, we're going to get him off his fucking high horse, And he's such a talented guy, man. And honestly, I wish him the best. But man, it's just like the Jim Ross stuff. You got people behind the scenes at AEW that are angry at Jim Ross. Jim Ross put his name behind what he said. Brandon Cutler put his name behind what he said. I give credit to Cutler for doing that. So these other people that have to do it anonymously, you're pussies. And low-key wants to call out people but doesn't have the balls to say the words Triple H. No respect from me. So anyway, let me scroll back. So what did you guys want me to talk about? Let's see. Okay, ratings and SmackDown. Okay, we'll get into this very quickly with the ratings. And by the way, if you're enjoying the show, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button, because as I explained the other day, because I'm always vague about it, by doing that, you're telling YouTube that you recommend the show. And the more that happens, the more they will recommend the show to others. So thank you. My original predictions for the ratings this week, the overall, my prediction was 1.572, 1,572,000. That was my prediction for the overall rating. I was off by 15,000. The actual rating for Wednesday Night Wrestling was 1,587,000, more than Monday Night Raw. But I got my numbers a little skewed. I gave AEW too much credit, and I didn't give NXT enough credit. Remember on Wednesday I said I'm very curious to see what Kyle O'Reilly and Pete Dunne's numbers did. Man, if they would have kept their promise about the no commercial breaks, I think they would have done an even better number. But as you will see when I get into these ratings, we are now seeing, you see the trend. I brought it up 2 weeks ago. Now you're seeing it. You see the trend of channel surfing. You're now seeing channel surfing going on more than ever before. Before, you had pretty much your clear-cut AEW fans, your clear-cut NXT fans, and you had some people in the middle, that would, go back and forth, or maybe DVR one. Now, because of certain things going on in matches, you have people changing the channel for two reasons. They're changing the channel because of a commercial break. They're changing the channel because they're just not interested in seeing what they're seeing. Or they change the channel because, they want to see what's going on, and then they stay there. So, check this out. This is wild. There was no NBA game before this. So, this is not a case, which I brought it up. I think it was Private Party versus FTR. If I remember correctly, there was an NBA game on, and AEW was going to air right after the NBA game. And I believe it was FTR versus Private Party. In that first quarter hour, they did an insanely big number. And then it took a substantial drop in quarter two. And we realized that the reason that happened is because NBA ended late. So you probably had a lot of people, and trust me, this may sound stupid, but believe me when I tell you, this happens more than you can imagine. that you had people who had their TVs tuned into the NBA and either fell asleep, went inside, did other things, and it was still on that channel. And then when they went back to the TV 5, 10, 20 minutes later and saw, oh, wrestling, I don't want to watch that. And then they changed the channel. So it's not like the next quarter took a massive drop because of that. It's because people still have the channel on from the show before. That didn't happen with Wednesday. So we're kind of baffled as to why quarter two, and I double checked it, and this is legit. So check this out. AEW, hour one, 879,000 viewers. Pretty damn good. Hour two, a dismal 733 for a composite of 806. Now, AEW's hour two is 733. NXT's hour two is 802. So you could see that it was a shift for the second hour. That rating would have been much worse if it was not for the opening quarter of AEW. Hangman Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver versus Matt Hardy and Private Party did 1,010,000 viewers. I mean, that is impressive. Impressive. But quarter two, which was the Inner Circle interview segment, remember MJF with the trophy? And then Cody and Brandy coming down to the ring, announcing the pregnancy, and then the very beginning of him versus Angelico. They dropped, get this, 184,000 viewers. They lost almost 20% of their audience. Now, I'm not crapping on the Inner Circle. Have you noticed 3 of the last 4 weeks, the Inner Circle's numbers have been going down? Notice no more tweets from MJF or Jericho about ratings and stuff like that. This is something, I think, if you remember, I think what's happening with the Inner Circle is what I said about 3 or 4 weeks ago. You had them in Las Vegas getting wasted, partying, and having a great time. And then 2 weeks later, you did this ultimatum thing. Now think about that for a minute. You know, there's some people out there that have some health disorder, that they age like 90 years in a month. Like they're born, when I cut the umbilical cord 2 weeks later, they look like they're celebrating their 17th birthday. They're in Las Vegas. And not even 2 weeks later, Jericho saying, we need an ultimatum. If we don't get along, we're going to split up and this and that. In 2 weeks. The hangovers didn't talk about blowing through a story. You know what that ends up happening? You're doing teases and teases and teases and teases and teases to try to keep, this isn't a soap. I mean, I know it's still considered a male soap opera to a lot of people, but it's not cliffhangers. So something that I've noticed, Inner Circle's numbers have not been impressive at all. So they dropped down to 826. Quarter three, the remainder of Cody versus Angelico, the stuff with Taz and the Sting intervention. Then you had the Miro interview, that dopey interview that he got fined 300,000 quarters. And then Eddie Kingston with the brawl. That only went up 17,000 viewers to 843. So that Sting segment did not get people to change the channel. Quarter four, Dustin Rhodes' promo setting up the match against Evil Uno. And then the Inner Circle versus Best Friends, the Varsity Blondes, and Top Flight. The rating went down 9,000 viewers to 835. Again, 3 of the last 4 weeks, Inner Circle's numbers. The final part of their match, the final part of the Inner Circle versus those 7 guys or 6 guys, whatever it was, and then a segment with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, that dropped 109,000 viewers to 726. Now, all of those viewers, most of them went to Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly's match. So just remember that 109 drop when we get to that match in a little bit. SCU versus the Acclaimed, the challenge of Top Flight to MJF and Jericho, Acclaim's challenge to the Young Bucks, the Young Cucks, And that rating went up 20,000 viewers to 746. Not impressive. Ivelisse and Diamante versus Big Swole and Serena Deeb. And what happened after the match was over? That only dropped slightly, 5,000 viewers to 741. Main event. Joey Janela versus Kenny Omega. Went down 23,000 viewers to 718. AEW better take notice. Easily repairable, but unfortunately, this isn't popping up. Look, we talked about Impact Wrestling. They lost last week almost all of the viewers they gained when Kenny Omega showed up there that first week. What did I say the other day? Is the Kenny Omega Impact bloom off the rose? They got to, you know what I think the damage is with this? What I've been saying for the last 2 weeks. Vince Russo is the one that pointed it out. And I think this is probably the most powerful statement you could make about AEW the last 2 weeks. You built up Jon Moxley for a year as this loose cannon, shows up, causes chaos, doesn't give a shit, attitude, blah, 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 hardcore, this is that. He loses to Omega, and they try to paint it off as a screw job, and he goes home. Doesn't show up the last. In talking storyline right now. That probably is the biggest mistake that AEW has done over the last month. Moxley, as I said last week and the week before, Moxley, the week after he lost the title to Kenny Omega, AEW Dynamite should have opened up with chaos. Moxley shows up, doesn't even close his door, storms right to the ring, kicks a bunch of people, starts this, gets on the microphone, puts the chair down. I'm not leaving this ring until Kenny Omega hits that ring. And they didn't do that. Explain why they should have done a stretcher job to Moxley. Not Eddie Kingston, I told you so. I told you so. AEW deserved that. Let's see what they do about it. NXT, hour 1, 729. Hour 2, 802 for a composite of 766. So overall, AEW beat NXT, 806 to 766. Oh, by the way, everybody, do you notice all of these goofs that are sensationalizing Raw's rating being the lowest of all time? And they're doing videos and blogs and all his tweet hand jobs over this. You notice how the demos have disappeared? I think Meltzer's the only one that brought up demos. How come they're not bringing up demos? Talking about these 3 hours from Raw last week. You notice how the demos disappeared now? They're only focusing on the overall rating. Opening quarter, Kushida and Leon Ruff versus, we got to do this for AEW, excuse me. 806 is the medium level, 806. So this is how the quarter hours went. 1,010,000. 806, 843, 835, 726, 746, 741, 718. Wow, I just realized it. Kenny Omega and Joey Janela had the lowest rating in the night. Wow, I just noticed that. Quarter 1, Kushida and Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory opened up with 743,000 viewers. El Legado del Fantasma's promo, Shotzi Blackheart's promo, and the very beginning of Tommaso Ciampa versus Tyler Rust only dropped slightly, 9,000 viewers to 734. The majority of Ciampa versus Tyler Rust, the little interaction with him and Malcolm Bivens, and that vignette about grizzled young veterans, that rating dropped 39,000 viewers to 695. Once again, maybe it's Tommaso Ciampa's opponents, but Ciampa's still not getting any rise in ratings. The first half, Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly increased 47,000 viewers to 742. Remember that quarter? That dropped over 100-something thousand for AEW. The second half of Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly increased 101,000 viewers. That's a big deal. That is clearly the channel surfing. and sticking with Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly. That match was excellent. Excellent. Rhea Ripley's interview, that crazy segment with Boa and Xia Li, and then the match between Shotzi Blackheart and Indy Hartwell, that only dropped slightly, 26,000 viewers to 817. Karrion Kross versus Desmond Troy. Look, I am a big Karrion Kross fan. But some people out there, you know, like I said, you ever see that picture, that cartoon picture of that character that's sitting in front of the computer and all you see is like sperm all over the walls and everything else, and they're like, you know the one I'm talking about. You got to keep this in perspective, man. You know, you're enjoying it. You know, I got my fantasy match fulfilled. If you remember Friday, I was pulling up a tear because of it. But they got to build Karrion Kross. Can't just have this awesome intro with Scarlett. He is powerful in the ring, but he's got to have that connection with the fans. Maybe Karrion Kross needs to start addressing some of his promos towards fans. It's hard because he's so cool online and he's so interactive with fans. But his match against Desmond Troy, then the interview with Isaiah Swerve Scott, that dropped 49,000 viewers to 768. The main event, Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm, increased 12,000 viewers to 780. So the main event was not the highest rating for NXT, but the main event did beat AEW's main event. Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm beat Kenny Omega and Joey Janela. So that is your quarter-hour ratings. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now we got to see what AEW does about it. Because remember, they already hyped up matches for next week. You know, I mean, Top Flight, Acclaimed, Private Party, they're stars of tomorrow. They've popped some decent ratings based on who they faced. I'm really curious to see what Private Party versus MJF and Jericho does. Now, obviously, the whole Inner Circle, Jericho and MJF are probably the two most popular as far as viewers go. So their numbers should be decent. But AEW's got to be concerned, especially about this. They need, even though Impact is still, not what it used to be, they need Impact Wrestling's wrestlers to show up. Next week, they need Rich Swann to show up. Next week, they need Gallows and Anderson to show up. They need something from Impact, not named Don Callis, to show up on AEW and tries to cause some shit. Even if you want to have half the locker room show up, and they should have done this the week after Omega showed up. They didn't do it. Why? Because Impact Wrestling is all pre-recorded for the rest of the year. That's why I'm starting to question why they did this storyline now. I know they want to hype it up to the January pay-per-view, but man, talk about shoddy. Shoddy. Absolutely shoddy. So, as I said earlier, you got Ring of Honor Final Battle tonight. Some of the matches that are going on right now, if you want to check it out. Everybody's favorite, Danhausen versus Brian Johnson. If Danhausen wins, I think he gets his Ring of Honor contract. Mike Bennett and Matt Taven versus Vincent and Bateman. Jonathan Gresham versus Flip Gordon for the Pure Championship. You also have, Jonathan Gresham is doing double duty. Him and Jay Lethal are taking on Mark Briscoe and PCO for the tag titles. Shane Taylor versus Jay Briscoe. LSG versus Tony Deppen versus Josh Woods versus Dak Draper. Four-way for the TV title. Dragon Lee will defend against the winner of that match. You have Roosh versus Brody King for the world title. And I think the pre-show, they had Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus versus Wheeler Yuta and Fred Yehi. Now, I know for people out there that only care about WWE, they probably don't recognize 3/4 of those names, but I know a lot of you out there do like Ring of Honor, so I wanted to mention it. They definitely deserve to get a little bit of mention. So, SmackDown tonight. Let's get into SmackDown a little bit. Like I said, SmackDown tonight was mostly the build for TLC. And the build of Otis, if you think about it. The formula that works on Friday doesn't work on Monday. And that is a couple of people working multiple segments throughout the night. I'm not talking 2 or 3. I'm talking 4, 5, and 6. Miz, Morrison, Drew McIntyre, maybe too many segments on Monday nights, especially Miz and Morrison. Friday nights, look at how many segments Kevin Owens had tonight. The opening segment between Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Paul Heyman, that whole schmaz to lead up to TLC or even the end of the night, Kevin Owens was involved in, I think, 4 or 5 different segments tonight because they had the open that went 20 minutes. They had the backstage segment where, remember when Jey Uso attacked him early on? That's segment number 2. Then they had a third segment, and then the fourth segment where he's going at it with, in fact, I think Kevin Owens and Jey Uso went at it twice in the back. So they have 4 or 5 segments tonight, 4 minimum. Over a 2-hour show, that's a lot. That is a lot, especially when one of those 4 think about this, and we're not complaining. We're not complaining. But sometimes I get people like, oh, you spend almost no time talking about SmackDown, because look at it like this. It's a 2-hour show, not a 3-hour show. Opening segment tonight was 20 minutes long, at least. Might have even been a little more than that, but at least 20 minutes long. The last segment tonight was also almost 20 minutes long, because after Bianca Belair and Bayley had their match, and I looked at it and I said, is Jey Uso fighting Kevin Owens again? That doesn't make sense. They hit the ring. It was like 9:40 p.m. Eastern, 9:43. So when you add those 2 segments together, the beginning and the end of SmackDown, those 2 segments took almost 40 minutes. That's 1/3 of SmackDown. You take the opening away and the ending away, that's 1/3 of SmackDown. 90s guy, what drama? I'm looking around. I don't see no drama. Not me. I'm checking out the room right now just to see what's going on. You know what? Some great conversation going on. So SmackDown opens up. Kevin Owens hits the ring. You got tables, ladders, and chairs everywhere. And he opens up talking about what Roman Reigns said about Kevin Owens and his family last week. And Kevin Owens pretty much says, look, I told my family not to tune into TLC Sunday, not because I don't want them to see what Roman Reigns is going to do to me, but I don't want them to see what I'm going to do to Roman Reigns and blah, 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 blah. He brings up Jey Uso, and he talks about Roman Reigns being a hypocrite towards his kids. And that was the one thing that I thought was a little funny. Because when Kevin Owens says the way he acts and he calls himself the head of the table and a tribal chief, he says his kids look at him and they call him hypocrite. I don't even think Roman Reigns' kids could even say, Baba, Baba, Baba. Like, I thought that was funny. Like, when I was 4 years old, 3 years old, 6 months old, whatever it is, I don't think one of my first words was hypocrite. But the segment was excellent. Segment was excellent. Paul Heyman on the screen. Paul Heyman is a little bit surprised that Kevin Owens is back, wants a little bit more. And he called Kevin Owens, I think he called him a martyr. And he said that Kevin Owens has to be eliminated. Kevin Owens pissed off, yelling at Paul Heyman. And Kevin Owens decides he's going to go to the back and find Roman Reigns, since Roman Reigns won't come to the ring. We go to commercial. We come back. Adam Pearce trying to stop Kevin Owens from going into Roman Reigns' locker room. Next thing you know, the music hits. Roman Reigns comes down. We think we're going to see a little bit of a beatdown to lead into TLC, not knowing that we were going to have it close out the night as well. But then, this is when Roman Reigns cuts his promo about that he's not a bad guy. He's got to do what he's got to do to be the guy. Jey Uso attacks Kevin Owens, leaves him laying. So like I said, we're now 20 minutes in at least. Backstage segment. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. Roman telling Jey Uso, finish the job, do what you got to do. Benjamin says Roman has 5 kids. You know what? How old is his oldest kid? Okay. Whose dad says that he's got 2 twin girls at a 10? Okay, all right. I'll say that. Okay, so 10 years old? I don't know. Would you, at 10 years old, know what hypocrite means? I think they would probably say bad daddy. I think that would probably be their interpretation of hypocrite. But yes, okay. He's got twin girls. Wait a minute. Does he have 2 sets of twins now? Does Roman Reigns have 2? I think Roman Reigns may have 2 sets of twins. I could have swore that his newborns were twins. So there's a little delay in the chat, by the way. So when I say something, then don't have the answer right away. But Brian says he thought Santa Claus was a hypocrite. Michael Gonzalez says Roman Reigns' oldest kid is 13. Okay, so I'm burying myself even further. Yeah, who's that confirms it? My reliable source. Who's that? Yeah, 2 sets of twins. They Googled it just now, by the way, everybody. It's not that people are guessing. They Googled it. So good for Roman Reigns, man. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think 1 set of twins would be interesting. You got 2. Man, that's pretty cool, man. So anyway, we now have the Street Profits versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. No, I don't think this is going to be a pay-per-view match Sunday. I honestly don't think so. I just, WWE's been doing something. I don't know if you noticed it tonight with Bianca Belair and Bayley, but I'll tell you what it is when I get to that. Because they didn't have many matches tonight either. So I'll be getting to that in no time. But Street Profits had a great match with Ziggler and Roode. And, very competitive, typical SmackDown match. Finish, a little bit of a swerve. Robert Roode goes to pull the tights on Montez Ford. And Montez Ford reverses it, and he pulls the tights, and they get the win. And then, this made me feel good because I think it was only last week that you and I was showing some love to Charles Robinson. I don't know if it was from the Q&A or if it was the Don Tony show last week, but I know we talked about Charles Robinson a little bit and brought up recently in a match with, I think, The Fiend and Braun Strowman when the ring imploded and Charles Robinson did the bump outside the ring that I think a lot of people didn't even realize from earlier this year. But Charles Robinson today, I guess maybe to just divert attention from the match, but, Roode is pissed off because he got his tights pulled, even though he was pulling, Montez Ford's tights. But, they're getting pissed off at Charles Robinson, and Charles Robinson really, really loud, getting in their face, they're going to get suspended and blah, 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 blah. And I like Charles Robinson. I'm a fan of his. I think he should be one of the referees put in the Hall of Fame other than Earl and Dave Hebner. But, it's just to show Charles Robinson's authority today. But the Street Profits retain. They keep their titles. Before the match started, I never heard of this guy before. I looked at his resume, and I saw something like Hot Tub Sex Party. And then I looked at him again, and I'm like, all right, maybe he produced it. I don't know if he starred in it. But Clark Duke gave his predictions of who was going to win tonight. He's got an upcoming movie. But, man, I'm not dissing this guy, but talk about just choosing any random person. I mean, he wants the smoke. I don't know, man. Any of you out there, Clark Duke fans, be honest. I won't, I'm not against the guy, but you would have thought that they would have had a little bit more of a powerful, let me say it like this, a more recognizable name. Especially with the Slammies coming up, which, it's not even airing on television. I think it's on the WWE Network and on YouTube. But I never really... Benjamin says that guy is probably what the website and podcast goofs I talk about look like. No, man. No. That guy, I give him credit for at least showing his face. And the guy has got a successful career. I looked at his resume. He actually has like a lot of movies and behind under his belt. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty impressed, but I'm just saying he's just like a really random guy to put out there. Oh, because Chad Duke thinks the Street Profits should win, then yeah, I'm going to go with Chad Duke. Sam is a fan of mine. You know what, Sam? Touche. Sam's a fan of mine, and I'm a million times lower than Chad Duke. Chad Duke. Clark Duke. Wait, Chad Duke. Wasn't Chad Duke a wrestler? I don't. Clark Duke. Clark Duke. So, anyway. So, the Street Profits retain. Did not feel like this was carrying over because you would have had the formula like they did with the New Day, Shelton Benjamin, you know, and Cedric Alexander. They would have had a member of the Street Profits lose on a one-on-one, then maybe another one lose on a one-on-one, and then you got the suspension of disbelief that Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode could possibly squeak it out. Does not feel. It feels like this match took place tonight, so you feel like the Street Profits recently wrestled, even though they're not wrestling on TLC. So that's how I felt after tonight. Brother! Shout out to Hulkster in the chat, by the way. Mystery Man as well. Brother! Kayla Braxton interviewing Bianca Belair. And Bianca Belair is looking forward to her match. And Bianca also says she's very annoyed that Bayley keeps talking about her, and she promises she's going to beat Bayley later tonight. Riot Squad. You know, it's interesting, man. I'm not trying to be perverted. I swear to you, I'm not. Remember this goofy news that people were reporting last week that WWE's looking to bring back the lesbian storyline between Mandy Rose and Lana? I honestly don't see how or why they would even bring that back. But I will say this. I don't know why, but if WWE is really infatuated with having two girls kiss each other on TV, even if it's innocent, a crush. I get that vibe with the Riot Squad. I don't know why. I don't know if I want to see that. Like, I don't care. I mean, it's like, you know, if it happens, it happens. I mean, if the storyline is good, I'm all for it. I don't care who it is. It could be the frog and the rabbit kissing each other, for all I care. But I don't know why. There's a vibe. Is it just me? But there's a vibe with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. Yes, they're best friends. Yes, they're like sisters. But I don't know. Like, I'm just saying to myself, if WWE is insisting on doing something, I think Riot Squad might be the ones to do it. I don't know. Does anybody agree with me? Anybody think? I'm just, like I said, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. But I was just like, when they were having that conversation about Wonder Woman and everything, and Ruby Riott's like, get out of here. And she's like, kind of like this. Like, I could just turn around and I could just picture, like, Liv just turning around and just grab her and giving her a nice, innocent kiss on it. You know what? I wouldn't have been surprised if we saw a little mistletoe on top. Maybe they do that next week. Maybe we see a little mistletoe. Now, is mistletoe now, like, I'm not trying to be a jerk right now, but is mistletoe now like a disgusting thing? Because, you know, look, Me Too is a very serious thing. Speaking out is a very serious thing. I'm not trying to take away from that. But I get this weird feeling that if you go to a party and you go up to, you know, someone that you like and you put a piece of mistletoe over their head, that people would chase you off of the internet for doing that. It just feels, doesn't it feel like that's where we're at right now with that? Unfortunately, I don't recall anybody ever putting mistletoe. Like, I don't think I've ever stood under mistletoe. In fact, yeah, the more I think about it, I think like people like actually like push me away, like, look out. Thinking, yeah, I went to a party once and somebody was like, look out. And I don't think like the ceiling was going to fall on me. I think they were just afraid that I was going to inadvertently stand under the mistletoe. And I don't think anybody out there wanted a smooch from this guy. So, Lone Wolf, wait. Lana and Liv. Excuse me. Lana and Liv. What do I say? Mandy Rose? You know why? Because Mandy Rose is... No. You know why I said that? No. I'm right with the Mandy Rose thing. They want to redo the storyline of the lesbian thing. Mandy Rose is on Raw. She's on Raw. So people were talking last week. They want to do something with Lana and Mandy Rose. No. I know what you're saying. I'm saying like... It does. I just don't see where this, like, what is Lana like chasing women now? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm telling you, there's just something about the Riot Squad. I don't know. I just feel like that could be a possibility. But anyway, the Riot Squad, Billie Kay comes out again, and she's got a new partner, and she introduces her partner because she's got, I guess, announcing on her resume. She brings out Tamina, and we get the same shit as last week. Tamina dominating, which doesn't say a lot about the Riot Squad. And then you have, Billie Kay tags herself in to try to get the pin, and then she gets hit with a finisher, and they lose. Blah, blah, blah. There. Next segment, Carmella, the toast to Sasha Banks. 'Tis the season to drink bubbly, fa la 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 la. I'm not going to do it again. Where the goofs go fubbly wubbly, fa la 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 la. Don is here and they get triggered, fa la 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 la. We all miss Tranisha Biggers, fa la 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 la. Shame on you that thought that I was going to have a different word in that sentence. Shame on you. Bad people. Carmella comes out. I like her intro. I like the silhouette. I saw some goofs tonight like, they're ripping off Kenny Omega. I'm sorry, I don't remember Kenny Omega bending down and shaking that ass, We've had other wrestlers. If you're going to say that Carmella is ripping off Kenny Omega with the silhouette, then how come nobody says that Kenny Omega is ripping off Cesaro with the silhouette? And how come people haven't said, well, Cesaro was ripping off Kenny Omega because of New Japan stuff? And how come people haven't said, it's not a ripoff. I like her intro. Carmella is at a different level than where she was previously in her career. Is she, let's be honest, is she the upper tier as far as talent goes? I can't say that to be true. You think of Charlotte, you think of Bayley, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch when she's, when she was here on TV, Asuka, Kairi Sane before she left. I mean, there's a lot. Bianca Belair, you could go down the list. There's a lot of talented women. But Carmella has the other tools. She gets under your skin. She is attractive. She's got the whole personality thing going. She gets in people's face. There's a lot of things there. So she is definitely doing a hell of a lot better than before. Let me tell you something. A year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I think probably each of the last 3 or 4 years, if you would have said to me, Carmella versus Sasha Banks on pay-per-view for a women's title, I would have been like, no, thank you. No, thank you. But I'm actually looking forward to this. When I get into my predictions, I don't think there's any question what the outcome is going to be Sunday. But once again, Carmella, bad-mouthing Sasha, and Sasha comes out, tries to beat up Carmella's assistant. By the way, I don't think Carmella's assistant is a wrestler. I tried to do some research, and the closest I got was a few people that said that he works for some talent company. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not going to lie. I haven't really spent a hell of a lot of time on it, but he does fine. I have no problem with that. I don't think he's there for the long haul. but Sasha tries to get to him, and she tries to attack Carmella. Carmella once again whacking her and leaving her laying. And this is just the setup, further anticipation for Sunday. I like it. I like the build. I think the build was very good. Psycho Jet Black, what is the best and worst Christmas I've ever had? Best Christmas was last year because I got engaged a month earlier. So going into Christmas, I had gone to the city. I was a guest for the Greg Gutfeld show, for anybody that knows that. I had a friend that works for Fox that got me in there. Met everybody. Tyrus was awesome. For you remember, Brodus Clay, he was awesome. He actually was talking a little bit about wrestling, which was pretty cool. Then we went into Christmas, and I expected Christmas to really start planning for our future, and then COVID hit. So last year's Christmas was pretty awesome. My worst Christmas, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I really have not had any bad Christmases at all. I think the only Christmas that might have been a disappointment when I was really young, like I was expecting like some big gift, and then under the Christmas tree there might have been clothes or something like that. Like, I have to admit, my parents, when I was a kid, always took care of me and my brother when it came to Christmas. They went all out. Yes, at the expense of my father working multiple jobs at the same time. But my Christmases, but I will say this, I'll be honest with you, Christmas gets me down. Christmas really gets me down because I'm at the point now where I realistically have to take a step back. And that's why I said about doing the Thursday shows, having just some real convo, not just about wrestling. But I think a lot of people will relate to me when I say this, but I'm now at the point where I have to start looking at Christmas and say, is this going to be the last Christmas I have with my family? Because their health is not great. They're getting up there in age. So I don't want to take any Christmas for granted. So, that's why, this coming weekend, I'm spending my Christmas with my family. I'm not doing any shows. I'm not recording anybody's shows. I'm not going to be online. I'm spending it with them and trying to bottle in that feeling. And hopefully a year from now, they're still around and I get to have another Christmas with them. So that is my honest answer to you. And Philip Maffey, thank you very much, my friend. Happy holidays to you too. And I thank you and everybody else for all the support you've shown me this year. I mean, I owe it to you to give you the best I possibly can. Are we ever going to be, as huge as these other people out there? Probably not. Am I ever going to be polished? I'm never going to be this PC guy. Yes, I've toned down and everything, but, I'm here for all of you. And if we could all get our mind off of, what makes me laugh? I hate people that because you work hard, that's a bad thing. You work hard, and that's a bad thing. People put you down for working hard and earning money and trying to be better, and other people have to bring you down, like the more you do. But, as long as I got you guys and gals out there, man, sky's the limit. And strokes and heart attacks as well, let's be honest. So Carmella, great segment with Sasha, really did well with that build. Hopefully they don't open up that match with a headlock. Please, God, no headlocks. Otis with Chad Gable beat Shinsuke Nakamura with Cesaro. They're doing this little bit of a comedy thing where when Chad Gable tells him to do something, he's actually telling him not to do it. Then today, don't say as I do. What do you say? Don't say as I do. Do as I mean. And there's one point during the match that Chad Gable, I think Otis was going to do, his version of the worm. And Chad Gable says, no, do the suplex. And then he tried to do the suplex, and then Shinsuke rolled up Otis. And for a split second, I'm like, oh, God, please. I as much as I'm a fan of Shinsuke, and I don't know if I want him to be losing to Otis, I didn't think tonight was the night for Otis to lose. But he kicked out, and then he ended up doing a suplex to Shinsuke, and you see Chad Gable outside the ring like, whew. And then Otis, he gets the win. He climbs to the top, splashed Shinsuke, got the victory. Cesaro outside. I don't know why everybody's making a big deal. Cesaro clapping outside, rooting for Shinsuke. But Otis gets the win, and then there's a backstage segment later on. Like I said, Chad Gable doing the reverse. Why didn't you do his version of the worm? Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it? And the Vader bomb. Benjamin, what do they call it for Otis now? Because they're doing, I'm a hard-working man. That's it. Remember when I said a long time back that him and Keith Lee reminded me of Dusty Rhodes type characters? Like Common Man thing. It was just a battle of who was going to end up being like the Dusty Rhodes-esque. I think Otis is winning out on that. But what's the finisher, the actual name for Otis's Vader bomb? I'm curious because I honestly don't know what the name is, but sounds like Braun Strowman. Oh yeah, I used to do Braun Strowman. By the way, they showed that 2020 thing on TV today. I'm not talking a TV show that used to be on ABC. I'm talking that, the WWE roster beating the crap out of 2020. Braun doing the voice for it. I don't know, man. I mean, the only thing is I can just picture Drew cutting that promo about 2020 with the Thunderdome people watching it, like, what the fuck am I watching here? So, I don't know, man. Let's see. Let's see. Neil Ray, God bless me and my fam. Yeah, the Kevin Owens segments were fine, man. Like I said, I understand why some people were saying that Kevin Owens looked kind of foolish today, that he's getting his ass kicked and he keeps coming back. Nah, man, that's balls. That's strength. That's just not being naive. You know when we talked about Nikki Cross, that Lexi breaks a mug. Lexi hits the oh my God, oh shit, Sister Abigail. Lexi attacks her. Lexi cries. And Nick, hug. And she attacks her again. And Nikki Cross came across like one of those dogs that, I hate to say it like this, but you leave it outside, you don't feed it, you treat it like crap, and no matter what you do, this dog always keeps coming back with his or her tail wagging, like, acting like nothing ever happened. That's a dumb dog, Nikki Cross. Lexi, I'm going to beat it out of Lexi. The WWE ruined Nikki Cross's character. Ruined it. They ruined it, damn it. They ruined her. You see her on TV. Is she going to make an appearance Sunday? I have no idea. Would Randy Orton even want Nikki Cross? I don't think so. But Kevin Owens is not like a naive, just asking for more. Kevin Owens, you're going to have to kill him. You can't keep me down. That's the impression I got watching that segment, the multiple segments tonight. I mean, my God, look at the end. They put him through all those tables. They put him with the chairs. I mean, they just beat the shit out of Kevin Owens at the end. I know I'm leapfrogging ahead just for a minute, but we could finish that part now. I mean, Jey Uso and Roman Reigns beat the balls out of Kevin Owens. And I think we all knew that Kevin Owens was going to get up. Like, is that the best you could do? Is that the best you could do? Because it wasn't 10 o'clock yet. But they put him through, they're setting up TLC. You're going to see tables, ladders, and chairs used like crazy. But in the end, you're going to see interference from Jey Uso. We'll see if Jimmy Uso gets involved as well. We'll see if anybody else gets added to this storyline, because it makes you wonder, this Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens storyline cannot go forever. And you almost feel like at TLC, it's got to come to a conclusion because you got the Royal Rumble coming up. Would they do one more match at the Royal Rumble? That's possible. But if this is going to be it, someone else is going to have to get involved to shift Kevin Owens, just like what they did with Randy Orton. They shifted Randy Orton away from Drew McIntyre with Bray Wyatt, which we all saw coming. Goldberg, I don't know about that. Goldberg, like I said for the last couple of weeks, I love it when Goldberg turns into Trollberg. I remember those people losing their shit a couple of months ago simply because he was going to be on Thunderdome. They actually took it legit. I'm going to be on Thunderdome. Motherfucker, why is this guy coming back? This guy sucks. Please stay the fuck out of wrestling. We don't need you. We don't want you. Blah, blah, blah. Thunderdome as in the LED screen. Oh, man. Trollberg. In fact, man, I know a lot of you out there don't like to get into it with, other people on social media. But man, we gotta come up with a Trollberg chant, and every time those people get trolled by Goldberg, we gotta just post that Trollberg chant. You know what? I got the soundboards. Remember, I could put the Trollberg. In fact, I got an idea. Mish could help me with this. We could make some Trollberg chants and just change the pitch of our voice so it sounds like 100 people all doing it, and we just multiply it. Just mix it over and over and over, and it sounds like you got 1,000 people. And we'll do a Trollberg chant. So every time they get trolled. Yeah, that's another thing, Jody. That Lars article, I don't buy that. Oh, there can only be one major heel. In what promotion has that ever been? It can only be one big heel. What does that even mean? What does it even mean? If you think about the logic of that, because people I don't know, there was these dumb reports floating around. In fact, this is worthy to put on a synopsis too. There was these dumb reports floating around that the reason why they have Lars on TV is because Roman Reigns is the major heel, and they don't want another major heel on SmackDown. If I understand this correctly, Roman Reigns being a major heel, his biggest success is beating up a big baby face. When do you see a major heel starting a feud with another major heel? Does that logic even make sense? There could only be one major heel. In what promotion have you ever seen that? There could only be one heel on it, one big heel. Ignore that, man. Ignore that. The Slammy Awards. Sammy looking dapper tonight with the purple suit and the hair. I should have screenshotted it. Sami Zayn doing his version of the Slammy Awards. He's just got 3 awards. He's in the back and he's got all the Slammy trophies, and he's pissed off at some schmuck because he didn't have polish for the Slammy trophy. So Sammy goes looking. Now think about that. He's wearing a beautiful suit and he's all decked out. And he's mad he wants polish. Why wouldn't you tell the goof, hey, schmuck, go get polish? No, Sammy leaves. So Big E shows up, and he sees the envelopes. So Big E's going to mess around with one of the envelopes. So Sammy comes out there, and Sammy the Robot, he announces comeback of the year. He awards himself, obviously. Match of the year, he awards his IC title winner, Clash of Champions, the ladder match with him, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy, which I have said one of my favorite matches of the year, too. But then he gets the Superstar of the Year. And like I said before, if I had Superstar of the Year in his envelope and I had my name on it, and she tried to troll me and wrote someone else's name, which we will keep off the show, I would not read that name like a robot. I would look at the paper and I would still say my name. Then later on, I'd be like, you fucking bitch, what'd you do? But they have to do this for TV, obviously. Sami Zayn calls out Big E's name. They got the graphic all set. Big E, Superstar of the Year. And it was funny because Big E is doing his acceptance speech, and he wants Notre Dame to win with the points. And every time Sami Zayn is trying to stop him because there's a mistake, he's pushing Sammy away. Get the fuck out of here. Then Sammy finally gets the mic back, and he's like, there's a mistake, and then Big E just starts beating the piss out of Sami Zayn, throws him down the rampway. Big E looks at the camera with, that the charismatic smile. Thank you very much. And he leaves. He leaves. Why do I think Lars is off TV? Because who are you going to feud with him right now? Who are you going to feud him with? Maybe he feuds with Kevin Owens next. I don't know. Who would you feud him with? Right now, with the way everything is on TV, they have a couple of storylines that they're using for pay-per-views. They can't even get the Street Profits any momentum for a pay-per-view. So Lars right now, they did the vignettes, but then what? Like, who's he going to feud with? So that's the problem. Chad Gable? Whoa, talk about a random con. You know what? Maybe Lars will feud with Otis. That's a possibility. But in order for that to happen, you have to give Otis a little bit of momentum, because if you don't, if Lars attacks Otis, then people are going to think, Otis is getting jobbed out for Lars. We'll see. 80 right wing. You're nasty, man. I say that joking around. I will not repeat that answer. Bianca Belair versus Bayley. This is a pattern that we've noticed WWE doing a lot. Right before a pay-per-view, they give you a big match that you would rather see on pay-per-view. You might remember not too long ago, they did that with Matt Riddle, and AJ Styles. Remember right before the pay-per-view? I don't remember which pay-per-view it was on SmackDown. They did Matt Riddle and AJ Styles. And we thought it should have been for a pay-per-view. Then there was the following month that we had a match that we wanted to see better on a pay-per-view. In fact, I think it happened on Raw. Might have been Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre, but there was a match right before. No, it couldn't have been Drew McIntyre, because Drew McIntyre was on the pay-per-view. But they did a match on Raw that neither person was on the pay-per-view. And they're like, why is this being done right before the pay-per-view? You'd rather see that match on a pay-per-view. So, yeah, Lars could feud with himself. So tonight we have Bianca Belair versus Bayley. And Bayley wins. I mean, she cheated. She raked Bianca Belair's face to get the win. I mean, I don't think anybody should be upset or worried that Bianca Belair is not going to be... Look, you should know by now that everybody on the WWE roster not named Roman Reigns will lose a match from time to time. And Bianca Belair, because she's new, they're trying to play it off that, she's the EST of everything, that she says, but Bayley got one up on her. That this is just, rookie mistake as far as the main roster goes. Bianca Belair, she has nothing. You all have nothing to be concerned about. Right now, Bianca Belair is my pick to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Too early to tell, obviously, but she's fine. She's fine. I know some of you have a different definition of she's fine. She's fine. No, but she's fine. No worries. Bayley is probably going to win a Slammy Award, possibly 2. So Bayley's no slouch. I mean, if Bianca Belair would have lost to like a Dana Brooke or something like that, then I could see people would be like, because look at Dana Brooke beating Mia Yim. That felt a little painful. But obviously Bianca Belair is a much different position than Mia Yim right now. So, by the way, out of curiosity, who do you think Asuka's tag team partner is going to be? Curious. Hopefully they do not announce it before the pay-per-view. I'm wondering Charlotte. I'm not sure. I don't want it to be Dana Brooke or Liv Morgan. No, Mandy Rose, excuse me. Mandy Rose. Yeah, I kind of would like to see Charlotte. The problem is, who loses in that? Unless Charlotte returns and then Charlotte attacks Asuka, and that's how Nia and Shayna Baszler wins. Do we have Charlotte turning on Asuka? I don't know. Okay, we got a variety of names being brought up. Mandy, Naomi. Somebody even brought up Tessa Blanchard. Tessa wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. There's no crowd there. I understand that might actually be a benefit, but you don't want Tessa Blanchard to show up and be part of a tag team. What relationship does she have with Asuka? I tell you the truth. You know what I'd like for it to be? And nobody is saying her name. Maybe Kairi Sane came back for a cup of coffee. She is still working a little bit with WWE in Japan, obviously. But why not? Hey, wouldn't that be cool if Kairi Sane came back for a month or two? If you remember, they left on really good terms. I love that, man. I'm going to go outside the box and I'll say Kairi Sane. Wishful thinking, but I'll go with that. So I know we did a little bit out of place, but that was SmackDown. Not a bad episode, I'll be honest with you. I thought it did a decent build for TLC, albeit they focused on pretty much 2 matches for TLC. Predictions for TLC. We only have 6 matches announced right now. If the 7th or 8th is announced, I will post it on Twitter. For our Patreon family, the predictions contest will go up Saturday afternoon. I'm waiting until the afternoon to see if any matches are added. That'll give you 24 hours to participate. So let's get into it. 6 matches. You got the New Day taking on Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I'll be honest with you, man. I like Xavier. Xavier has shown me stuff since his return that he hasn't shown me before. That guy is just wrestling at the best of his career. Xavier Woods, right now, excellent. Kofi, I don't need to say anything. We all know how awesome Kofi is. But I tell you, with all of the involvement with the Hurt Business, I'd love to see Shelton and Cedric get those belts, even if it's for a short period of time. So deep down inside, I think, New Day retains going into the holidays, this and that. But I tell you, man, I would really want the Hurt Business to win. I think it would be pretty cool to see, 3 of the members all have gold at the same time. So although deep down inside I say New Day, I'm going to go with Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, more of what I want to see happen, not necessarily what I think could happen. Sasha Banks versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha Banks is going to get her revenge. It is possible Carmella gets herself disqualified. Remember, Sasha Banks got herself disqualified last week. So Sasha, in my opinion, wins. But it could very well be that Sasha is about to pin Carmella, and Carmella takes a cheap way out of it, gets herself disqualified. I'm not saying that she is going to be disqualified, but either way, Sasha Banks is retaining that championship. I don't see it any other way. Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler versus Asuka, and a partner to be determined. We don't know who a partner is going to be. Soulfly already did the ratings, but you can rewind it, man. You can rewind it, and you'll get it. But I'm almost done anyway, so you'll be able to go check out the whole show. But Nia and Shayna Baszler are retaining those belts. I know a lot of you don't like Nia Jax. I think Nia and Shayna are doing excellent right now. No need to tweak anything. No need to change anything. No matter who Asuka's partner is going to be, I don't see them victorious. Maybe Asuka ends up teaming up with Lana after all. Maybe that ends up happening. Maybe Lana insists that she's going to be part of this match. I don't know. I'd love to see Kairi Sane. I don't know if that's going to happen. I doubt it, but you never know. Remember, Asuka is still a women's champion. She's got a feud with somebody for that belt. That's why I really don't think Kairi Sane will be returning. But, I could see Charlotte, and then either, Charlotte just immediately turns on Asuka, or, there's a little bit of, faux pas during the match, and they have like a little bit of a falling out. Or who knows, maybe Lana, and then you may end up getting some wet fart. Maybe Asuka gets laid out early on, and then we have to have, Mandy and Dana Brooke teaming up against them. No matter what, Nia and Shayna are walking out with those belts. Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles TLC match for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre is retaining that belt. I said a long time ago, many times, that Drew McIntyre, when we look back at 2020, Drew McIntyre would have been the COVID champion. I know, it's unfair to him, but it's just that fact. When we look back at COVID, Drew McIntyre was the COVID champion. I think he ends 2020 with that belt. AJ Styles is there to make Drew McIntyre, look even better, add another notch to Drew McIntyre's career as far as his title reign. So when he looked back at all the people that he feuded against, AJ Styles is a pretty worthy person to feud with. So I see Drew and almost maybe going at it a little bit during the night, but Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, I think is still in the plans, probably for Royal Rumble. I don't see that going all the way to Mania. So I'm going to see Drew McIntyre retains. Maybe we will get Sheamus attacking him after the fact. So big shout out to SoFly. SoFly. By the way, Carmella, I like her music tonight with the toasters to Sasha. A little bit of like R&B, like some SoFly music. So SoFly be more. Thank you, my friend. Very, very generous of you. I really appreciate it. And happy holidays to you. All the best. Merry Christmas. And you caught the show late today. I mentioned earlier that if the stars align and there's enough people that want it, I will be up here New Year's Eve for 3 or 4 hours, just chewing the shit, just regular chat, real chat, wherever you all want to go with the talk, that's where it's going to go. So, and if that really happens and it works out, then I will be here every Thursday doing just a regular live chat, nothing planned, nothing on the horizon. I know for those who are on Patreon, it's almost like an off-the-cuff type show, but it'll just be a live chat. That's something a lot of you have been asking for on this channel. One show that is not planned. Of course, we'll talk about wrestling. We'll talk about whatever you want, but it's a show, just regular, just combo, just regular down-to-earth chat. So, but thank you very much, my friend. I really do appreciate that. Much love, much love. So, Drew McIntyre will retain, and we'll see if he feuds with Sheamus next. Maybe Sheamus offers to go down there, and Drew McIntyre turns him down, and then maybe Sheamus shows up anyway. Keep that thought in your head. So that leaves 2 matches. Bray Wyatt versus The Fiend versus Randy Orton. Firefly Inferno match. I have no idea what they're going to do. Because if I understand this correctly, didn't they say tonight, didn't Michael Cole say tonight that there's going to be flames around the building? This is Tropicana Field. What does he mean, flames around the building? Do you realize how much flames you would need for I have no idea what they're going to do. I haven't heard anything about a cinematic match unless they planned this for a while and we had no idea about it, which would say a lot about the people out there who claim their sources. They didn't know nothing about it. I personally think Bray Wyatt needs to retain. Win. I shouldn't even say retain. There's no belts on the line. I'm thinking back to that WrestleMania match with that god-awful, remember the bugs, the LED screen on the mat, and Randy Orton, a Viper, got freaked out by a animated photo of worms or bugs in the ring. I got to go with The Fiend to win. The Fiend's got to keep his momentum. I think Alexa Bliss, who is on vacation right now, by the way, yes, she did go to L.A. to do that Punky Brewster reboot, but she's now on vacation with her fiance. Even though WWE gave her some time off, she's a big part of this storyline. She needs to be there Sunday, in my opinion. So I am going to go with The Fiend to defeat Randy Orton. And in the main event, 90s guy. I'll get to you in a second. Main event, because I think this will be closing out the pay-per-view. You have Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Kevin Owens in a TLC match. This is going to be brutal. Something tells me Kevin Owens may take a couple of weeks off from this. I don't think Kevin Owens should be on SmackDown next week after the beating that he is going to take on Sunday. Roman Reigns will take a beating as well. But Kevin Owens is one of those guys that he'll dive onto 40 chairs. He'll dive onto tables too. But Kevin Owens will probably take a bigger beating than Roman Reigns. And there'll probably be a lot of taunting involved from Roman Reigns. We'll probably hear a lot of verbiage as well. I mean, you know, everybody loved the loud mic, the hot mic when Roman Reigns took on Jey Uso. Now you got Kevin Owens, who is awesome on the mic as well. He will be doing some trash talking also. But I think in the end, it's not even a question. Roman Reigns is retaining that championship. We'll see who gets involved other than Jey Uso. But like I said, the fact that you pretty much know who's going to win and you're still really into this match and this feud says a lot about Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. Seriously. It says a lot. I mean, they really deserve all the credit coming to them. They really did a great job because that is not easy. When you know, just like Jey Uso, that was not easy. When you know the outcome, you know who's going to be on top, and yet you still are into it because you just want to see how the sausage is made. So we'll see what happens. Metallica thinks that Kevin Owens is just filler. I understand why you say that. You know, Kevin Owens was kind of thrust into this feud, but could you think of anybody better right now? And don't say Big E, because there's been no momentum yet, no interaction with Big E and Roman Reigns. Yes, I saw that talking smack and what Paul Heyman said to Big E. I loved it. If you all didn't see it, don't know what I'm talking about, just Google Paul Heyman, Big E talking smack. Basically, Paul Heyman gave Big E the ECW speech. One thing that Paul Heyman was always notorious for, and this is a compliment, is he could take the lowest person on the card, make them feel like a main eventer. Paul Heyman is notorious for really, I mean, and the cool thing about it is Paul Heyman, what he was saying, you know he truly feels that. You know 10 years from now, Big E's career, barring injury or total fuck-up, which is likely not going to happen, this guy is really, really going to be going places. So I love that segment. I wish I could play stuff like that here, but I get hit with copyright infringement. So, yes. Oh, Jeff, did I ever get the No, I never got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But did you see the Michael Myers shirt that I wore? I think on last week's Wednesday Night Dynamite. I went on that website, and I was this close of buying that sweater. But then I saw the Michael Myers black button-down shirt, and I said, wait a minute. I could wear that multiple times during the year. I can't wear the sweater in the summertime. And it's a Christmas sweater, so to speak, so I don't know if I would wear it outside the holidays. So I bought the Michael Myers shirt instead. So, and if you didn't see it, like I said, I think it was last Wednesday Night Dynamite. It's one of last week's shows. I'm pretty sure that was the one, because it was definitely a solo show. But I tell you, I'm looking forward to TLC. There's not a bad match on the card. So, and we'll see if any matches are added. Does anybody see any matches added? I don't see Bianca and Bayley having a match. Maybe they do add it. If they did, Bianca will get the win. If they did the Street Profits, Ziggler and Rude as a rematch, Street Profits are going to win. I can't think of any other matches that would have been added. But like I said, if anything, and look, we thought we were going to get Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn. Daniel Bryan suddenly disappears. So now it feels like we may get Big E and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is not on the card. I don't think that match will be suddenly done. But I think if Big E were to face Sami Zayn right now, there probably would be a disqualification win. Maybe Sami hits him with a Slammy Award. I don't see Murphy and Corbin having a match on a pay-per-view. That doesn't feel pay-per-view, quality. Nothing against those guys, but shout out to 90s guy. Much love, and he wanted me to let everyone know, as I always bug you all, if you're enjoying the show, if you hit that like button, because like I said, by doing that, you're telling YouTube that you recommend the show to others, and the more those come in, the more it's recommended to others. So I thank you very much, and definitely in the comment section, let me know about my idea of coming here New Year's Eve and also doing a live chat every Thursday, every Thursday. So, and we got some announcements on the horizon. I'm working with Mish on a few things. So now Monday, Mish and I will give you our picks from these lists as far as the Slammy Awards go. It's going to be live on the WWE Network Wednesday, December 23rd at 10 a.m. They haven't done a Slammy since 2015. Or if you pay attention to Sami Zayn since, what's his face was around. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, my God. I hated that guy, too. God. Who was that president? Jack Tunney. Man, I hated that guy. Oh, when he was gone in 1995, I was like, thank you. I never liked Jack Tunney as a character. The only time I liked Jack Tunney is when Bobby Heenan used to make fun of him. I think Bobby Heenan used to call him a goof also. It's nothing personal against Jack Tunney, but talk about just a horrible, man, if you thought Bob Backlund cut horrible promos when he was a babyface as a WWF champion in the early mid-'80s, well, early 80s, I should say, 78 to 83, right? 78, yeah, 78 to 83, 84. Yeah, Jack Tunney had a very big head, man. You just want to, I tell you, I proposed this match. Just slap him right in the freaking head. You got to do the wet willy like you this, and then you slap him. So, the Slammies. I'm going to just read you the categories and who the nominees are. Like I said, Monday, Mish and I will do the predictions, even though there's only a couple. But remember, WWE is going to pick certain people to fill agendas as far as TV. But just throw them out there. Maybe some of these have names missing. Don't pick AEW people because it's just the WWE version of it. They're not doing NXT. They're going to have their own year-end awards. Superstar of the Year. The choices that WWE listed was Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. First of all, Charlotte's been injured. Becky Lynch has been out pregnant. Congrats again to her and Seth Rollins. So those two shouldn't even be on the list. Bayley and Sasha Banks, I have no problem with. Asuka, I definitely don't have any problem with. Bray Wyatt has not wrestled enough. Braun Strowman has not wrestled enough. Randy Orton, okay, I could see it a little bit. Roman Reigns, I don't think has been back long enough. So, just by process of elimination, you almost feel like Drew McIntyre should be the choice. But if WWE is going to go with the tribal chief, the head of the table, obviously the head of the table should also be your superstar of the year. So I think it comes down to Drew or Roman. Me, I would pick Drew, but I think we kind of feel that Roman may get it. Match of the year, their choices are Undertaker versus AJ Styles, the Boneyard match from WrestleMania 36. The New Day versus the Hurt Business for the Raw Tag titles on November of 2020. Edge versus Randy Orton, the greatest wrestling match ever. Men's Royal Rumble match. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan, the IC tournament match final from SmackDown. Roman versus Jey Uso, Hell in a Cell, I Quit match. Sasha versus Bayley, Hell in a Cell. AJ, Sammy, and Jeff Hardy, the IC title ladder match from Clash of Champions. Drew versus Roman Reigns from Survivor Series. Becky versus Asuka Royal Rumble. You surprised they don't have the Fiend John Cena in here? I mean, yes, it was only 2 moves. But, actually, the more I think about it, that shouldn't have been on there. Like I said, we're going to do predictions Monday, but I agree with some of you out there. You almost feel like they got to give it to Undertaker and AJ Styles. The Undertaker, and also this is a nice little rub for AJ Styles as well. Even though I will tell you, the ladder match, Jeff, Sammy, and AJ from Clash of Champions, I love that match. I thought it told a phenomenal story. So, rivalry of the year. Seth Rollins versus the Mysterio family. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Edge versus Randy Orton. Sasha versus Bayley. R-Truth versus The World. Lana versus announcer tables. Notice who's not on that list? Alexa Bliss versus... Lexi versus Nikki Cross. I got my family in Scotland. I can't lose. I got my family in Scotland. They didn't make the cut. I think I would have gone with Edge and Randy Orton, but Edge will get something else on this list. So I kind of feel Sasha versus Bayley may actually end up getting this. I almost feel that way. Tag Team of the Year, the Golden Role Models, which is Sasha and Bayley. Nia and Shayna Baszler. The New Day, the Street Profits, Cesaro and Nakamura. Let's be honest. When you look at that list, that tells you how piss poor pathetic the men's tag team division has been this year. Because you could only come up with the New Day, the Street Profits, and Cesaro and Nakamura. I think Sasha and Bayley should win this. I think it would be a very interesting dynamic to see how they would accept that award since they are not friends right now. So I'd like to see Bayley have 2. In fact, I could see Bayley using 2 slammies and walking down to the ring holding 2 slammies every time. Kind of like what Owen Hart used to do. Return of the Year. That's why I didn't choose Edge versus Randy Orton, the other thing. Return of the Year, Sami Zayn, Goldberg, MVP, Roman Reigns, and Edge. Even though I've enjoyed probably MVP more than any of these guys on the list, I think Edge will probably get this one. Ring Gear of the Year. I don't know why this is there unless they're going to give it to BB. The choices are Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Seth Rollins, The New Day, Bianca Belair, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Carmella. I think they'll probably give it to Bianca Belair to give her some type of an award. No problem there. Breakout Star of the Year. This is interesting. Dominic Mysterio, Bianca Belair, Otis, Street Profits, and Murphy. I would narrow it down to Murphy or Dominic Mysterio. You kind of feel like they probably would like to highlight and honor some Mysterio for 2020. So I would not be surprised if they gave it to Dominic. If they gave it to Murphy, I'd be fine with that as well. But some of you out there are saying Street Profits. That's not bad. But I have a feeling it's gonna be Dominic. So, Female Superstar of the Year: Asuka, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte. Again, Charlotte and Becky should not be on that list. Bayley, Sasha Banks, Asuka. I say you got to give it to Asuka. After what Asuka has done for the WWE in 2020, she definitely deserves some type of Slammy here. So I'm going to say Asuka is going to get that one. Very interesting to see a lot of your choices out there. Very, very interesting. I will say there's a lot of love for the Street Profits, man. And that's cool. That's cool. Male Superstar of the Year. We only have 2 more. Male Superstar of the Year. The choices are Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, and The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Now, this is a weird one because earlier you had Superstar of the Year. This is Male Superstar of the Year. Now, I'm a little confused about this, and I'll tell you why. Why not just do female superstar of the year? But wait, they did do that because they did have female superstar. Let me put it like this. What they're trying to do is they're having a male superstar of the year award, a female superstar of the year award, and then a combination, just superstar of the year. So the point is, whoever is your pick for the female, whoever is your pick for the male, it's got to be one of those two. Because it wouldn't make sense for Roman Reigns, let's say, to win male superstar of the year and Asuka to win female superstar of the year. So you have Roman and Asuka, and then you choose Drew as the overall. It would make zero sense. So someone is winning too. Someone is winning too. Moment of the year. Undertaker's final farewell from Survivor Series. Drew McIntyre beats Brock for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Becky Lynch announces a pregnancy. Edge returns to the Royal Rumble. New Day's farewell address. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman unite. Bayley turns on Sasha Banks. The New Day get drafted to different brands. Yeah, Ben, they are having 3 superstar awards. You know what? I'd be fine with Asuka getting the overall superstar of the year. Give it a female and the overall. So, but as far as moment of the year, man, I can't see Undertaker getting 2 awards, but I also can't see Edge getting 2 awards. Edge returning to the Royal Rumble was awesome. Some of these moments are awesome too, but just something extra special about Edge's return. Even though they botched that one spear, remember they did the camera, but when they showed the replay on the network, I think they put it in the right angle. But I tell you, I don't think Edge is going to win 2 awards, and like I said, I don't want to see the Undertaker get 2 awards as well. So maybe one of them end up with 2 awards, but I'm kind of not feeling that. So this is going to be interesting. I think a lot of you think Undertaker will probably get it, but I would want it to be Edge. But then what do you do about a return? Edge is going to get the return of the year and the moment of the year? That's a lot. Then you go match of the year and you think AJ Styles and Undertaker, then Undertaker gets moment of the year as well? Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. SoFly says, Mission I should use these categories, but make it all of us. Oh, no, we are doing awards. In January, we're doing what I call the Blackheart Year-End Awards. For those that don't know what that is, I used to do a wrestling hotline going back to 1997, which I've said about 38,000 times over the years. But at one point, I used to be part of what was called the Blackhearts. It was myself, Timmy Arson, God rest his soul, who you knew as the ECW Zombie. It was myself, Timmy Arson, Matt Zombie, and Brian Damage. And us 4 would do the Blackheart Sports Entertainment Hotline. We did in the early, from 99 to about 02, I'd say. Definitely 02, because I was still doing a hotline when I was working for XPW. But every year we would do year-end awards. And we would do your typical awards like we just said, but we also do some wacky ones. You know, we would just do like the biggest fuck up of the year, stupidest decision of the year. I had the Comfort Inn Award, like what diva at the time you would like want to spend the night with at the Comfort Inn. We would have, but we would spell comfort, not C-O-M, but you get the deal. We used to do like 10, 15. In fact, if you want, go on Google and type in parentheses, Blackheart Year-End Awards, close parentheses, and then put wrestling after it, and you'll see some of the awards that we did 15, 20 years ago. It's pretty wild when you go back and you look at it. So, yeah. The Q Motor In Award, those in New York would know what that is, Dorian, but a lot of people would not get that. But no, we SoFly, we were definitely going to be doing some awards in January. We are definitely going to do it. It's going to be, and in fact, we're going to give everybody a chance to vote as well. In the past, it would just be our choices, and then whoever in the chat room would want to interject as well. But I think we may do advanced voting. I'm not sure. We'll see. But obviously, everybody's voice will be heard because you could comment or give your choices while we're live. But we are definitely doing it, definitely. So with that, I think we are done. I'm looking on my list. I'm checking it twice. I was a little naughty today, but overall, I think we were pretty nice. So everyone, I'm going to jet out of here. We went a little longer than we expected, but it's all right. We had some great convo tonight. I will be here Sunday night after TLC, giving you the recap. To be honest, Mish is, by the way, when I say that, I should do it like this. Sunday after TLC, I will be here doing your TLC pay-per-view recap. And shout out to Shaheen Nuclear Heat Graphics for once again some awesome graphics. So that will be Sunday. Mish has Wrestling Soup, obviously, and him and Joey Numbers usually cover the WWE pay-per-views. So Mish will be busy Sunday doing his Soup recap. But if for any reason that does not go down and he is going to, want to do something with me, then we will definitely do it together. But I would tell you probably 90% definite that I will be here solo. But yeah, that will be the graphic for Sunday. And I think it's going to be a good pay-per-view. I just hope this Inferno match is good, because that house match they did that time, the Wyatt family house, whatever that crap was, that was not good. Then they had that WrestleMania match, like I said earlier, with those LED screens on the mat. They had the Thunderdome version of the mat. Just instead of fans on the mat, it was bugs. So Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton don't have the greatest of pay-per-view history together. So something tells me this will be good. Because say what you want. You look at the gimmick matches WWE has done in 2020, I think they've done a pretty damn good job. The cinematic matches, when they did the Money in the Bank matches, when they went to the WWE headquarters, that was a hell of a lot of fun. You look at Hell in a Cell, you look at Elimination Chamber, you look at some of the gimmick matches they've done this year. WWE's actually done very, very good with that. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this match is going to be really good. But we'll see what happens. But everyone, I'm going to jet out. So if anybody that caught it late, you could just rewind and watch it all over. I will post timestamps tonight before I go to bed. And I'll be back here Sunday. So thank you, everybody. Much love as always. And I will catch you Sunday after TLC. If you can't catch us live for any reason, Monday, I'll be back here with Mish for Breakfast Soup Raw. We will cover any fallout from TLC. We'll do a little more of the Slammy stuff, the Slammy shit. And we'll cover Raw and what else transpires between now and then. And everyone be well. Definitely post your comments. Let me know. New Year's Eve, what do you want? Or beyond that. Do you like the idea? Tell me what you think. And just be honest. If you think it's a bad idea, tell me. I mean, I respect everybody's opinions out there. So, all right, everybody, I'm out of here. Be well. Enjoy TLC. I'll catch you Sunday. Ciao.